following announcement has been paid for by the Wrestling Epicenter.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hello, ladies. Remember me? Let me talk to you, dummies.
It's now time
It's beer time. TikTok.
It's showtime!
for the longest running wrestling talk show in history.
We are huge. It's gonna be cool.
You're where it's at.
You smell like me.
Tune in each and every week.
You better keep listening, or I'll come out of your computer
And turn it on for you.
or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in.
We've been known by a few names.
The needs of the many far outweigh the needs of the few.
The Interactive Interview,
Interactive interview. Oh, yeah.
Interactive interview.
The interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
The interactive interview.
Interactive Wrestling Radio,
Interactive wrestling radio.
Interactive wrestling radio.
Interactive radio.
Interactive wrestling radio.
Interactive wrestling radio.
The Blaze,
Blaze 1260 AM. The Blaze.
The Blaze.
Blaze. The Blaze Rock.
and a lot of other names.
Weekend Warrior of Wrestling. The Pile Driver. The
Epicenter.
3-count wrestling.
The Hours Slam.
But it's all one show, the Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter.
The Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter, dude. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And your host from day one,
By ignorance or arrogance.
James Walsh.
Wake up, sleepyheads.
Dr. Carol House.
It all starts
What a rush. Oh, Boomer Sooner.
Thank you very much.
I got 2 words for you. Thumbs down. Breaking necks and cashing checks. I've heard a lot about you guys.
Check it out. Get out of my face. You win!
But I'm desperately out of time.
So what you gonna do when Blaze-a-mania runs wild on you?
now.
American male, American male, American male, American male.
What happens when you go to bed? That's what happens when you go to bed at 4:45 in the morning and you're watching Revolution. Oh yeah. We're as happy as what are you doing? We quarreled, but then how we now making up again. What is that? I have like that that's a video collection, and there's a song that goes with the theme song, like the theme music. That Richie sings.
I love Lucy. Scotty Riggs, I love Lucy.
Well, you should have heard him about 5 seconds ago. He was singing.
Thank God I missed that. You hate to hear me sing. You thought Steve Austin was bad singing Margaritaville. Should hear me. I'm just getting over a summer cold too, so my voice is kind of cracking up a little bit. Got a little cotton mouth, but it's just like going, wow. I hate to hear you guys sing.
No. I like Chilean, to be honest with you.
You're like, what?
Chilean, the Irish Red.
Oh, I got you, Daddy. I'm a Coors Light myself, but it's all good. But, are we ready with this thing?
Yeah, we are. Okay, man. I guess the last question I have for you, and please correct.
Here's one thing I was saying to ECW experience was, the one thing about ECW and what's going to out now is the fact that they're going all over the country with it. And the only real place you could ever get that real true ECW experience is in a small venue with real wrestling fans. That's why the ECW arena, until you actually stepped in that building and could feel the reality of what people gave their blood, sweat, and tears for there, the energy, the fans is what made ECW.
Oh, yeah.
The fans are what makes wrestling. And that's why wrestling fans won't be fooled by sports entertainers.
Right.
You know, wrestling fans know wrestling.
Right.
And that's why you hear so many people complaining about, especially on the internet and stuff nowadays, you hear the fans complaining about, this wrestler being nothing but this, and this being bad here, and and this stuff over there. And that's why you hear so much about Ring of Honor and so many other independent shows that have established themselves as being such great places to be. That's why they still hype wrestling. They don't hype being sports entertainers.
Right.
Terry Funk is like, I'm not an entertainer, I'm a wrestler.
Right.
You know? But the ECW arena had its own persona.
Right.
The ECW fan had their own persona.
Did you hear what happened?
ECW was its own persona.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why the WWE CW won't really work until you put the ECW stars over like it's supposed to be, and put it back in the small venues, and you put it in Philly and let it run out of Philly in one building. If you can run that First Union Arena and do it every week out of there on a Tuesday, let it rebuild out of that, then you'll see the rebirth and history being remade with ECW. But until you do something like that, you put it after SmackDown, and expect it to be the same thing, it just ain't gonna happen. You can't recreate anything. It's still a Vince McMahon thing. What Rob and Dan told me when I was talking to him about it. He said, "Man, you gotta remember, no matter what happens, ECW is still going to be a Vince McMahon product. It's gonna be how he views it.
Right.
No matter what power he gives Paulie, it's still gonna be Vince.
Right.
And that's why it won't ever really be ECW."
Did you hear what they were chanting at the last ECW show?
No, I didn't.
The last one they did, it was a house show at the ECW arena. The crowd was chanting, "This show sucks," quite loudly.
Just because, yeah, they were, believe me, when I was there and we do a TV taping or whatever, we put a show on,
yeah,
it would start at 8 o'clock, maybe doors open at 7, bell time at 8. Bell would actually usually go off about 20 minutes after 8. And we wouldn't be done at the building until 3 o'clock in the morning. And the fans would be there the whole time. And they would do a show with 8-9 matches will last 4 hours. And not a fan would leave. They would sit there and be in every match that was imaginable. The thing I heard they did there was like an hour and 50 minutes, and boom, started on time, ended on time, and that was it. You know?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I heard about it. Anything else that happened in between and what they did with guys, I really didn't hear. And unfortunately, that's the part I don't want to hear about stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Because unless you really experience it, unless you give fans what the fans want, they're not going to buy it. They might buy shirts, they might buy merchandise. They're not going to buy the full product.
I remember, I grew up in the East Coast, and ECW was, I literally might be the only guy who was sober enough to remember ECW from the beginning to end, because I actually was in that area to experience it. And those fans, they were not like any other wrestling crowd I've ever been to. I mean, they used to chant those letters so loud their faces would turn red. I mean, they were...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the first show I actually went to. I just signed in '95 with WCW, and I had a weekend off. And God, where were they? It was at the some Jewish temple. It was the first time that Sabu ever wrestled Jericho.
Oh wow.
And I flew up there, hooked up with Rob and Dreamer and Paulie, and I got to the show there, and it was just some rundown place there. And then the next night was the ECW arena, and it was the night that Kimona, you know, they had problems with the
oh yeah,
the camera broke down or something broke down because they were filming the show, and Kimona actually got up and did her strip thing.
Yeah, I think the ring.
That's where they're getting the Kelly thing from.
Yeah.
They're forcing the strip thing down because she's supposed to be some exhibitionist. And that chick can't even dance.
Well, that's the problem. Kimona used to be a stripper. Yeah, Kimona used to be a stripper.
That's a Kelly, or which would you rather hear? Kelly or Kimona Wanalea?
Right, right.
You know, that's a perfect name for ECW Ballet, Kimona Wanalea. So that was all Raven's. That's where his mind is so gifted.
Well, she used to be a
I
stripper.
had to be there that night, and I just sat back and I watched that crowd. I sat back and listened to those people, and I was in amazement of just what it was. And people say that, you know, somebody has an it. ECW in that arena had it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't explain it, you have to experience. And that's only I can say that, you know, the ECW we're doing now is not going to be it. It's going to have the initials, it'll have the music, have a few of the names, but you'll never really see it really, I don't think, come to fruition because it's going to be Vince's. It won't be it, it'll be Vince.
Right.
And that can either be good or bad. But for ECW, I don't think it'll ever be the history it could be, you know?
Yeah.
But what were you going to ask again? I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, back to Simona, she used to be a stripper, so she actually could dance.
Oh, yeah. She was a real pretty girl, too. So,
oh, she was 10.
But, you know, the thing that I had my dad, that was all off the cuff.
Right.
And here you're programming something to be seen every week, and people are going to go, all right, cool. You're seeing a girl every week that can't dance, being put with a guy that can barely wrestle. And you have, you know, two negatives do not equal a positive in wrestling. Sorry. Right. They may do it in mathematics, but wrestling ain't math.
Right.
Believe me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Going in a completely different direction, I wanted to ask you real quick. You made an appearance on Family Feud once. What do you think about being on that game show?
Do you remember who we went against?
I don't. I remember who was on your team, but I don't remember who you went against.
Okay, well, the team I was on was Jimmy Hart, Hugh Morris, I think of those two personas, tremendous. Jim Duggan, another tremendous persona. Brian Knobs and Nasty Boys. Myself, we went against Playboy Playmates.
Oh, wow.
Playmate of the Year, Heather Kozar, you had Angela Little, Jackie Dupree, Lisa Jerrigan, who's with Fox Sports, and there was one other girl, I can't remember her name now, but it just escapes me. But yeah, you know, Family Feud, wrestlers versus Playmates, that's freaking awesome. And then you also got Louis Anderson, who was a card himself. I mean, he kept us laughing the whole time. So you got a bunch of personalities, some really, really beautiful women to play the game with. So that was a once in a lifetime experience. That when they asked me to do it, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Hell yeah!" I mean, I flew straight from we were in Biloxi, Mississippi, doing a Saturday night taping. Flew out the very next Wednesday to do the taping of the show, and then flew from there to on the red eye back home.
Oh wow!
And at the time, here we are doing that with Playmates. I had actually married a penthouse pet.
Oh wow!
Who looked like Dan Anderson.
Oh wow!
So here I am, WCW wrestler, doing Playboy or doing Family Feud with Playboy Playmates with a penthouse pet for a wife.
That's a lot.
All those things wrapped in one. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, why do you think my life was always so crazy? I wouldn't, you know, I got no regrets and a lot of great memories. So it was definitely a lot of fun. So it's all good. But you hear that combination of names, it really, really dictates how much fun it was to be a wrestler at that time. That was really, no matter what they say now, the mid-90s into the late 90s was really, really the pinnacle of wrestling. Because it was still wrestling. You were just coming, in a sense, the celebrity status that they got now because of the live shows.
Right.
And then it kind of got to 2000 and stuff, and it all became Vince. You know, they're really pushing, and they can make you believe whatever they want you to believe.
Right.
With how big these WrestleManias are, or this show is here, or this show is there. So of course you're gonna hype it up as the biggest thing that ever happened to wrestling or whatever, because they don't make you believe it once you believe.
Right.
But when you're actually at those shows and you're selling out 20,000 seat arenas and to be in Atlanta, like I said earlier, to a venue 4 miles away from center stage where in the beginning of 95, or actually towards the middle of 95, before Nitro started, we couldn't give away tickets for our Saturday Night Takeover, which was our flagship show.
1 p.m.
To a year later, or a year and a half later, with Goldberg against Hogan, we sold 40,000 tickets. Same city, 4 miles away from one venue to the other, sold 40,000 tickets for a Nitro.
Crazy.
The Georgetown. That's how impactful wrestling was at that time.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really, really huge. That was really the prime time of wrestling. So I was very, very blessed to be a part of that. And so that's where you got to do cool things like Family Feud. And that's when the first video games came out.
Right.
On 3 video games that, of course, aren't made anymore with Nintendo 64.
Right.
I got my own little Matchbox car that's out there that everybody ever sees it. This thing's just the coolest thing in the world. I do too, because I grew up with Matchbox cars. So for me to have my own Matchbox car is probably the coolest piece of merchandise I'll ever have. Because I grew up with it as a kid.
Dude,
like a huge memento for me.
You're not going to believe this, and you're going to think I'm just talking up, but I actually have that sitting on my shelf right now. Right.
Yeah, that's a great way to give me that little boost. I appreciate that. You know, I got the biggest secret in the world. If you actually ever meet me and talk to me in person, you won't think of it. Because I'm Scotty. You know, if you want me to be Scotty Riggs, I'll be Scotty Riggs. But everyone else in the world that knows me as Scotty. But to hear that right there, you know, that's just really cool to me. So.
Did you always wish, this is kind of more of a silly merchandising thing, but a lot of the wrestlers say that their only regret is they never got an action figure. Did that ever bother you or not?
Not really. I mean, like I said, being on video games and being on that car right there means more to me than T-shirts and action figures and anything else, you know, the bandanas or, you know, stand-up things, you know, the cut-out cardboard things, whatever. The Austin 316 hand things in the window that wave at you when you drive by. You know, those little silly things, like Mom on board, whatever.
Yeah.
Those type of things like that don't mean anything to you, but the personal things of video games is that one little thing that I grew up with, Matchbox cars. That's, you know, to me personally, that means something. But to other people, maybe it might be their action figure. Other people might be their T-shirts or a baseball hat that I have because maybe they have a hat collection. You know, what makes somebody special to somebody is what they kind of grew up with.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's why that racing car is so cool to me. And then you got Scott Riggs, the NASCAR racer too. So here's kind of like imitating art. Here I have my own Matchbox car, and then there's the guy that actually drives NASCAR with Scott Riggs' name also.
Wow.
I mean, how cool is my reflection in the world?
All right, man. We can't thank you enough for your time. Is there anything you want to promote? Hello? Patrick? Jesus Christ. I want to get rid of this. I'm trying to you say goodbye, and I can't get rid of please stop the damn beeping. We're sorry we took you so long, man. We really do apologize.
Dude, man, this is, like I was saying before, this has really been enjoyable for me, man. So.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
I have no problem doing stuff like this. This is one of the reasons why, you know, I got into the MySpace thing, and it's, you know, I can plug one thing it's going to be, it is Scotty Riggs MySpace, because it is me. It's a chance to have to interact with fans. It's a chance to have to meet guys like yourself and to do an interview like this. And because it is, you know, interactive, you do have a whole bunch of posers out there who hopefully they're nailing down some of those cats who are doing stuff like that. But, you know, it's an opportunity when you find out, you know, that there are real people out there doing this thing. Take advantage of it. And most of the fans that I have met and answered questions and chatted with here and there, you know, they know it's me. And then, You know, I know the fans that I'm talking to are real fans.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one cool thing about having this instead of just having a website. You can actually interact with people.
Exactly. Yeah. There's like,
then you get these cool stuff like this. I hope I've been there and met you guys when I have a chance to do this if it wasn't for the MySpace thing.
right.
So, I mean, it's a win-win situation if you use it properly.
Excellent. Well, we really can't thank you enough. This has been really cool for us. You've blown us away with some of your answers. We expected it to be good, but we didn't expect it to be this good.
Well, thanks.
Okay.
That excited you actually have my Xbox card sitting up there. You know, that's all the props I need from you cats.
Man. So, is there anything you'd like to promote before we let you off the phone?
Yeah, the Wrestling Epicenter. How about that? I'll promote you guys. Because, you know, I mean, right now I'm still, I just actually getting over another little injury. I was training. I tore a tendon in my right bicep. I'm going to be out for about 6 weeks. And I've been working on some independent shows to do in August. I've had to cancel them before they could actually do any because this happened like 3 weeks ago. I still got about another 3 weeks before I can actually start working back out again. And so I've actually had to push everything back about 2 months of what I'm trying to do to get back into. I want to get some independent shows and stuff like that under my belt. And so just be looking for me right now. Probably work on some independents unless a concrete deal with either TNA or maybe even ECW happens within the next few months. So I've already been talking with both of them, and I'm just trying to see which one of the less political things to deal with. You know, because I talked to Sting and I talked to RVD about the only two guys I actually keep in contact with on a regular basis.
Right. Both are great guys, by the way. I've interviewed both.
Both are awesome guys. I mean, they're the one thing that was always told in wrestling. When I first started, you're going to meet thousands of people, but by the end of it all, you probably have a handful, and you can count on your finger guys who will really, really be your friend.
Right.
They're really going to be a person that stays with you no matter what. And, you know, and I have been very blessed. I've met tons of people, but the only two guys that I really talk to on a regular basis are Rob, which I've been like once a week, and Stinger like once every couple weeks here, a couple weeks. He actually called me today, and I missed his call. So, I'll call him back later. But both of them are West Coast cats, so they're 3-hour time zone, and with Stinger having a family kind of makes it hard to always call him because the wife Sue's like, don't you call after 5 o'clock our time, that's dinner and family time. So you always got to catch him before that. So I was kind of think, 3-hour difference with him. So, but, so, I mean, I got things I'm working on in different directions. So just be, if you're sitting back and you see Scotty Riggs or hear Scotty Riggs being brought up for a show, come out and meet me, come out and, look forward to seeing our fans again. And that's one thing I like about independence is it's more fan-oriented instead of merchandise.
Exactly.
But then, I do want to get back on TV so I can have some more fun out there.
Exactly. I wanted to ask you one last question. You were mentioning that we did an interview with Canyon about 1 year ago. He got a contract with TNA, and they have yet to use him. And I found out through the grapevine that they don't want to use him because they found out his sexual orientation, and they're afraid the crowd is going to chant, "You're S or you're whatever at him."
Right.
Don't you think it's a bunch of BS considering what a great athlete he is?
Yeah, actually, I mean, the only thing in one sense that outing himself that could hurt Chris is just that fan reaction. But in taping a show, in the way that every show does stuff, you can always drown the crowd out for that.
Yeah.
And if you are smart enough minded in wrestling, you can educate people by doing videos and stuff like that beforehand about his personality or his wrestling character or how, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The fact that he is an openly gay wrestler.
Right.
You've had a whole bunch of guys who portrayed gay wrestlers and portrayed characters, whether they were or not, they did.
Right.
You know, and the people, whether or not they believed that guy was gay or not, they really didn't chant about it.
Right.
So, I mean, who would have known that Pat Patterson, one of the toughest wrestlers back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, was gay.
Exactly.
And he is.
But,
you know, even if people knew they was, they'd never chant at him because they respected him. Chris is, you know, he's still a good friend of mine. We haven't talked as much as we had in the past because our lives just hadn't crossed over and beat each other in Independence and stuff. We actually had a match for Dusty that was voted by, you know, the TCW wrestling fans that did a little poll on the internet. They got voted best match of the year.
Yeah.
I think it was 2002. I can't remember, but we did a match in Carrollton that he put on tape and was selling out on the internet and stuff like that. And he did a little poll, and it got voted best match of the year.
Huh?
So I don't know how Dusty does all this stuff or how he was doing it all, but he had like there was some weird number of people that actually enjoyed the match. So yeah, his athletic ability in being a wrestler, is all the fans will view, unless you shove down their throat about his orientation.
Yep.
It's the same thing with Van Damme and his suspension. People forget if you give them what you want them to see. And unfortunately, too many times the people will focus on one thing, and when it comes to wrestling, unfortunately, that's where the politics, again, come back into play. If that makes any sense.
It does, man. All right. Well,
in one sense, it can't hurt him unless they allow it to hurt him.
Exactly.
They basically are the ones with the problem.
Exactly. I mean, I feel bad for him, and I've heard he's going into depression and all this, but it's like, here you have a great athlete who's had better matches than most on most of the companies he's worked with, and they don't want to use him to the best of his ability because he decided at some show to come out and tell everybody that he's openly gay. And I just don't, maybe I'm different than them, but to me it doesn't make a difference to me one way or the other.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same scenario where, again, if they want people to focus on that, they can harp on it. If they themselves are afraid of it, they can't figure out a way how. If they're the wrestling geniuses that they think they are,
right?
Anybody, Vince, with WWE, or Jarrett with TNA, or anybody that still uses him or whatever, can figure out a way to not even make that an issue. Mm-hmm. But unless they have a problem with it being an issue, then they can't figure out how to do it.
Exactly.
And that's where the problem is. If everyone has the mind that they think they have, they can make it a non-issue.
Exactly.
Unless he wants to make it for the character and stuff, which is the only thing I heard that he wanted to do.
Right.
And make it as that will make it kind of tough, because then, it's still where being openly gay or whatever in society has reached some acceptance.
Right.
It still has that one stigma to it.
Right.
So, I mean, you still do have issues to deal with, but then again, it all depends on how you want to portray it.
Exactly, man. Well, again, we can't thank you enough for your time. The MySpace page is myspace.com/Scotty Riggs.
Yes.
Scotty Riggs. People can chat with you there. Once again, we can't thank you enough. It's been really, really fun for us.
Yeah, this has been a blast for me. You've had great questions, and you guys just sound like I love a bunch of coconuts yourself, so it's been quite entertaining.
Never heard it put that way before.
Well, that sometimes these things just go up my head too. So I just appreciate the fun we've had with this.
Man.
So
anytime you want to come back.
You fans out there that want to, listen to some entertaining questions and just tune into the Epicenter Wrestling video. Wrestling Epicenter, excuse me.
Cool, man.
Correct for you guys.
Cool, man. If you ever want to come back on the show, just shoot me an email, either through MySpace or whatever, and we'll gladly have you back on. Love to get your opinion on other things in the future.
Oh man, anytime you want, just same goes. Just conversations a two-way street. Always keep in touch. Anytime you want to give me a shout, just go ahead and yell me in the MySpace. I'll always answer you guys back.
All right, cool, man. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Anything else?
All right, guys. You take care. Anything else you want to ask?
Before I let you go, can we have you do a quick station identification for us?
Sure.
All right. Just say you're Scotty Riggs and that you're listening to the Weekend Warriors Wrestling. Yeah. They do a show called Weekend Warriors. I do a show called Wrestling Epicenter. We just paired up into this one.
Okay.
Okay, so it's Weekend Warriors.
For the Weekend Warriors of Wrestling?
Yep. All right, we'll count you down in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, this is Scotty Riggs, and you're listening to the best guys right here on the Weekend Warriors of Wrestling. Keep listening, keep tuning in, because they ask tough questions and they make guys like us answer them.
Cool, man. Thanks so much. All right, talk to you soon. Yeah, absolutely. Take care of yourself. Thank you. Take care.
Peace out, guys.
All right. Peace out. Bye.
The preceding announcement was paid for by the Wrestling Epicenter.
I'm to listen, and if you like what you heard, I'm glad. If you didn't like what you heard, well, go fuck yourself.
Most people done hung up on me.
We had a lovely conversation.
What a show.
Oh, mercy, Daddy.
On your radio dial. Don't hang up. Bye-bye.